Everybody, welcome back to round number 7 here in Mundelein, Illinois. Did you miss us? Did you miss us? Well, guess what? We got a couple rounds left here in our Swiss, as well as the top 8 starting up soon. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the prize pool for today, just so you know what everybody is playing for and what's on the line today. So first place, $2,400 and some point series points for everybody in those top 32. So a lot of life left here for some of these players. So I'm just taking a peek at the standings on my own here. So David Delgado and Mitch Weisrock are both 6-0. There are only 2 6-0 players, and I believe they are drawing. I talked to Mitch just a little bit ago about his deck choice and how he felt about the weekend. We got to watch him on camera, I believe, several rounds ago. So he's having a great tournament day, as well as David, who we saw a couple times in our feature match area. Those two both really happy with their deck choices. And kind of just playing some of the pillars of the formats, the Izzet Pheonix and the Rakdos mid-range deck. Now, what I can tell you is from place number 13 all the way down to, it looks like place number, let me see, 16 here, is everyone is 5-1. So it's a big log jam there. So really important round for those players to get to punch their ticket into the top 8. We have the likes of like Theodore Jung is in there, Mason Grody we saw, Connor Mullally, Sam Black, Sean Ryder, a bunch of those familiar faces on the Energy Series. So with that, we're going to hop on down to our second to last round of the Swiss, and I'm going to send you back down to Devin and Becky.
All right, everybody, we are back here for some more action here at the NRG Series in Chicagoland, Illinois. And we got a nice one here for you. Raymond Perez playing some Grinning Ignus combo against Casey Ryback and Izzet Pheonix. Becky, tell me do you know anything about this Grinning Ignus combo deck?
Enough that I would love for you to tell me more about it.
Okay, fair. So this Grinning Ignus deck, let me pull up Raymond's exact deck list. Was kind of I would say a pretty big breakout deck last weekend. I know it did extremely well in the European Regional Championships, and it's a deck that has been kind of on the fringes and the leagues and stuff like that, challenges online. And what it's trying to do is it's trying to set up a Grinning Ignus with a Birgi. So basically, if you Grinning Ignus Birgi, that allows you pay a mana for the Ignus, pick it back up, replay it, get the mana off the Birgi. You can kind of do that infinitely. And it's trying to pair that with either Prosperous Innkeeper to gain infinite life, Defiler of Instinct. So every time you cast the Grinning Ignus, you're dealing a damage to any target. And yeah, it's really just got that. It's got a bunch of setup. It's got Collected Company, Hazoret's Monument as well to kind of make your Ignus cost less, and also help loot and dig you to the combo pieces. And yeah, this is a really, really sweet deck.
No, this seems really intense. And is this a copy of Fauna Shaman, the reprinted version?
Yes, it is. There's one copy of Fauna Shaman in Raymond Perez's deck. So I would assume that might be maybe a tutor target. He has Eldritch Evolution, so maybe that's something he would normally want to tutor for, but sometimes he just draw it, and Fauna Shaman can help find the combo pieces. You could see, activated, maybe find something like maybe a Runaway Steam-Kin. Maybe if he's missing the Grinning Ignus, could also find that. So yeah, really cool deck here from Raymond. And his opponent Casey is playing Izzet Pheonix. We've seen this deck before. I have to imagine this is probably not the ideal pairing for Raymond. Just deck with a lot of removal that can help break up the combo pieces. Maybe not what he's looking to play against, but looks like a relatively slow draw here from Casey. So maybe we're gonna have some time for Raymond.
It looks like that will be the Birgi that you were talking about. Did we get to attack with the Fauna Shaman through Bird?
Yeah, we just got in there for 2. I guess Casey was maybe worried about something like a Bone Crusher Giant, so didn't want to expose the Shredder to potentially getting killed by just a point of damage. So
I mean, that kind of tells Raymond a lot actually as well.
Yeah, that Casey really values this Ledger Shredder. We see an Impulse here. It's going to take out the Birgi because we have 2 spells in the graveyard. Get a Connive trigger. Probably doesn't have a Phoenix because would have already discarded that, I think, pretty quickly.
Yeah, interesting.
Discarding
a land.
Well, it's a land, but it also counts as a spell for the Shredder, as a Spikefield. Yeah. Kind of funny when you get to discard lands to your shredder and actually get counters.
From like where I am, I'm also like on a smaller monitor than I'm used to, like far back. I like just saw the edge of it, and it kind of just looks like Riverglide Pathway. So I was under the impression that it was that, but you're correct. It's Spikefield. It does get flipped around for my little eyes to see a bit better.
Yeah, so Raymond's really looking for a Coco. Does not have a Coco. Has a Hazard's Monument. There is a Spell Pierce on Monument. That's kind of tough. Yeah, that would have been a nice one for Raymond to resolve, because even if he doesn't have combo pieces, he can cast some other creatures and loot to try and find more combo pieces. And, you know, the fact that it also discounts your creatures is pretty impactful, because you could say something like, if you have the Monument and 4 mana, you can go 2 mana for Birgi, and then 2 mana for the Ignis, get a mana from the Birgi, and that's infinite, because now you have the mana floating to activate the Ignis and go infinite from there. So, yeah,
All
pretty
right,
important to
this
spell
is
pierce that
sweet.
one.
Like, okay, so I heard that there was a combo deck with Grinning Ignus. That was about the extent of what I had heard. And now that I'm hearing all of these like different cards that are a part of it, I'm just like, every single time one of these cards get mentioned, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, cool card. Okay, and it has what? Cool card. Okay.
Yeah, it's got a lot of, you know, interlocking pieces, a lot of interesting stuff going on. See a Fauna Shaman activation. I wonder if Ray's just gonna go for the Defiler. Are we going for another Birgi?
At the cost of a runaway Steam-Kin. No running away this game.
Yeah, I was thinking Defiler maybe is something you wanted to go towards, just because it's a big body. Doesn't die to something like a Fiery Impulse, but does get hit by Lightning Axe, which is kind of a beating.
So many things are gonna get hit by Lightning Axe that's maybe just an L that you have to take, and it's one of the strengths of the Izzet Pheonix deck as a whole.
Let's see what Raymond's working with. We know about the Birgi. Okay, well that's why I didn't get the Defiler. Already has it.
Aha!
Makes more sense.
Makes sense. Yep. Spirebluff tapped for the turn.
Yeah, we know the last card in Raymond's hand is that Birgi. Now, question. I wonder if he draws Grinning Ignus. I believe that is infinite, because you can go pay 2 life for the Birgi, and then you can go pay 2 life for the Ignis, get a mana back, activate the Ignis. Yeah, and that should be infinite with the Defiler. So, you know, from basically, or any creature, right? Because the Fauna Shaman. So almost if Raymond untaps with this board, any creature is lethal.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
Kind of crazy.
That is, like, if you put these two cards next to each other and we're like, build a combo, I can't say that I would be able to, but unfortunately for Raymond, Casey is going to say that we don't really want that to happen, and that Lava Axe that we mentioned, Lightning Axe, is going to be. Lava Axe would not be so good here.
It's funny you mentioned that. I played it in RCQ a couple of months back, and
oh, no. I already hate. I hate where this is going.
Yeah, well, my Phoenix opponent got deck checked, and the judge gave them a game loss because they registered Lava Axe instead of Lightning Axe. And unfortunately for them, Lava Axe is a legal card in Pioneer. So normally it would be like, if the card's not legal, then it's, well, you can't register a non-legal card, but it is legal. So
I maybe only feel for them a little bit because I maybe have also done that myself. It is unfortunate. Oh, all
so we're
right.
actually going for a Risen Reef here. I guess this is plan B, right? If all your combo pieces die, well, just draw some cards.
Not too bad. See what we can get with the Reef. These Ledger Shredders are getting pretty formidable, though.
Yeah, with Raymond at 15. Okay, it's a Phoenix. Well, it's a 7-point attack.
Go down.
Yeah. Effectively a 2-turn clock. Not quite, but pretty close to a 2-turn clock.
Yeah, you have to imagine that if we make this attack, the idea is that we also have like the last little point of damage to get through, or we're saying like if you do try to like do too many things in a turn and I get to connive, like that's gonna be more than enough. Like,
Yeah,
you're
if any
cutting
two,
off a
if
lot
any
of
two,
options.
yeah, if Casey has 2 spells, as long as you discard 1 spell to one of the shredders, that's 8 damage. So
Mhm. Oh, all right. Well, that's a way to kind of get around that connive there.
collected company. Now I wonder if there's a sequence of cards that Raymond could hit here for lethal. I don't think we found that, but I think if he hit, yeah, if he hit a Birgi, and an Ignis,
Mhm.
you can go use the remaining mana, pick up the Ignis, replay it, and then you have infinite Risen Reef triggers.
But does that?
I don't think he hit that though.
Yeah. Looks like we have 2 innkeepers, which does gain us some life, and at least maybe keeps us in the game for a little bit longer.
So that'll gain Raymond 2 up to 10. 10's pretty important too, because if there's 2 spells discarded to these shredders, that's only 9.
Mhm. And it doesn't look like there are any phoenixes in the yard, so with 2 cards, I believe, in hand for Casey, it's going to be pretty difficult to string together things. But I guess we also just have the mana to cast a phoenix if that were to be the draw or something left in hand.
Yeah, I guess something like Hardcast Phoenix plus second spell, discard to connive, that would get us there, right? 3, yeah, well, actually, no, just
Oh,
any
we have
Phoenix
it
is
just with
lethal.
any
It's
phoenix.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Phoenix would be 10.
Assuming we don't have removal spell from Raymond's deck. Though I feel like I've seen such a range of different creatures that I can't imagine that there would be removal spells, but let me know.
No, there's nothing. We
Okay.
got Hazard's Monument, Collected Company, Eldritch Evolution, and then all creatures.
Makes sense. I mean, if you're trying to like put together combos like this, that makes sense, but not the case for Casey here. It's just going to try and get things done with what we already have in play.
Yeah, the Shaman activation, discarding Devilish Valet.
That's one of those cards that if you asked me like 10 years ago what I thought a name for a card would be, and you like put like a list in front of me, that would not be one that I would pick.
Yeah. So it does find the Ignis, and I believe the last card is a Birgi. Now, the issue here for Raymond is there's 2 shredders in play, so even if Casey doesn't have any interaction, Raymond has to cast 2 spells in order to combo off, which means that Casey can find interaction off of the connive triggers. But if Casey bricks, then I believe this should be lethal.
All right. Let's see what we can do.
Because you go lead Birgi,
Mhm.
and then you have 2 lands and a treasure to cast the Ignis, which triggers Birgi, gets you a mana, which you can use to activate the Ignis, and then that's an infinite loop where you get infinite life and infinite reef triggers. Again, assuming there's no removal spells from Casey.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's got to be really scary because to do that, you have to cast 2 spells. So you're going to be getting those connive triggers, which means that you're having to work through not only what's in hand, but also some other things off the top of Casey's deck.
Right. Yeah, and if you're in Raymond's seat, it's just, there's really no way around it. Regardless of what turn you go off on, you're gonna have to cast 2 spells. So this is your one opportunity, your one shot. You get the slow peel from Casey. I like it. Discard Spell Pierce. Yeah, that one's bad. See if it's red. Holding it pretty close. I didn't get a good look at it.
Considering that the discard was Ledger Shredder. Ooh.
3 mana.
Ooh.
Flashing back iteration. That means we found something. Yeah, we found an impulse. So yeah, impulse, kill the Birgi and the Risen Reef. Yeah, that makes sense. And this is all with the Ignus on the stack.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not gonna get any reef triggers. We will get 2 more Innkeeper triggers. Now I wonder if Raymond can survive. That's gonna put him up to 7. And then you can sack the treasure, pick up the Ignus, replay it to go up to 9. Oh no, you have a red mana floating, so you actually go up to 11.
Oh.
Right, because you go to 7 off of this,
Mm-hmm.
use the red floating, pick up Ignus, replay it, go to 9, and then sack the treasure to pick up the Ignus, replay it, go to 11. And that is 3, 6, 8. It's only 10 damage in play. It's not 11.
Okay. Let's see if that is going to be something that we can piece together as well. Stay in this game.
Yep, so Raymond's going to pick that up, make 3. I wonder if he has any other plays. I don't know what the last card in his hand is, but does have a Fauna Shaman activation, so that is something as well. Because you can use the treasure to activate the Fauna Shaman. It's green, I think. I think the last card in hand is green.
Mm-hmm. I'm inclined to agree with you.
If it's a Coco, I was gonna say I'm trying to think if it's a Coco, if there's any sequence that wins you the game. I don't think there is. Okay, so he's just gonna do that play, go up to 11. Yeah, it makes sense. Beatdowns.
Hey, I mean, they're not blocking.
Well, if Casey bricks again, Raymond goes to 1. All right. So you're saying there's a chance. Yeah, Raymond goes to 1. Oh, never mind. We have a time walk.
And that is enough to solidify that game in favor of AC Ryback. Raymond, I mean, how do you feel about the matchup here? How do you, because you've mentioned that you don't think that it's super favorable for this Ignis combo deck. There's just like, as we saw, a lot of ways to disrupt it, a lot of ways to take out some of those creatures. So when we're about to take a look at sideboards, like what are going to be some things that we're looking for? What's going to help make it a little bit easier for us? And what are maybe some lines that we're going to take to help keep our precious little creatures safe?
So the tough part about the matchup is just the overabundance of red removal from Casey's side of things. Now I'm looking at Raymond's sideboard. There are some things that we can do against that, specifically some protection spells. If you'll notice here, we're taking a look at 2 copies of Outpost Siege, 2 Abrades, 3 Rending Volleys, 2 Cemetery Prowlers, 2 Outland Liberators, 1 Scavenging Ooze, and the card that I think Raymond's a slam dunk here, 3 Tamiyo Safekeeping. So Safekeeping is for those of you who don't know, it's a 1 mana green instant. Gives, I believe it targets any permanent, gives your permanent hexproof and indestructible, and you gain 2 life. So, say in the face of something like a Lightning Axe or a Fiery Impulse on one of your combo pieces, you can just say 1 mana, no thank you. So Raymond is trying. So the thing about this matchup is Raymond has a lot of like different pieces that he can kind of deploy. Like he doesn't have to put a lot of combo pieces into play. A lot of the combo can just kind of be held in his hand. So you can kind of just have this one big turn where you just go Birgi, Ignus, kill you all in the same turn. So, you don't have to expose your creatures to removal spells early sometimes. And with the addition of safekeeping, that could also make those lines a lot better as well. So I love the safekeepings. Maybe the Cemetery Prowlers and the Scavenging Oozes as graveyard hate. But I don't really think you're trying to play a fair game with Phoenix because I think they're just better at doing so. But yeah, these safekeepings are a slam dunk for me.
All right, and now we get to take a look at the Izzet Pheonix deck. And how is their game plan changing? Do you think that they're really trying to just slam more of these like Abrades and some more removal into their deck so that they're able to really just kind of double down on making sure that they're able to take care of these creatures?
Yeah, so from Casey's side, we're just going to have anything that can kill a creature. So the two Abrades, the two Brotherhood's ends are just slam dunks. Brotherhood's end is especially backbreaking because all of the combo pieces die to it, along with the Llanowar Elves. So it's just like, if Casey ever sets that up, it's going to be backbreaking. Maybe you want the Aether Gust and or Disdainful Stroke to help combat Collected Company, but those are a little bit more narrow. Aether Gust probably a little bit better because it can tag combo pieces that are in play along with Collected Company. I don't think that Casey's going to go towards this more mid-range plan with Fable and Crackling Drake. I think that Casey already has like Casey's late game is already better than Raymond, so you don't need to go towards stuff like that. The Thing in the Ice, however, could be quite good. As you know, Raymond's deck is putting a ton of creatures onto the battlefield. If you can flip a Thing in the Ice, that can also set Raymond back quite a bit.
Yeah, some interesting difference in game plans here. And Raymond is a whole match down, got paired up into this 5-1 player in Casey Ryback. So even more on the line here for Raymond, who is on this combo deck, and being down a game certainly going to hurt, but we'll hope that some of these sideboarding decisions will be able to put things a little bit more into Raymond's favor as our players are shuffling each other's decks, and we're about to get down into this game 2 match.
Yeah, I was trying to take a look at standings. There's 14 people who are X and 1, so if 7 of those win, plus the 2 6-0s, that's 9 people. So the X1s won't necessarily be able to cleanly draw because there's going to be 7 X1s and 2 X01s. So not quite a win it in for Casey, but maybe breakers are good enough where maybe it might be good enough.
Yeah, it's always hard to tell on like the round before the last because they're not cascading pairings, and so things get a little bit more difficult. But we are going to start off for Raymond with a little bit of acceleration in the form of this Llanowar Elf. I feel like we have a really swaggy stomping ground for a Dominaria Llanowar Elf.
Yeah, at least give me like a beta Llanowar Elf or something.
Come on, yeah. There's so many printings. I do actually really like the Dominaria Llanowar Elf, so I'm maybe being a little shady, but I actually quite like that one. And this is like a new enough deck where like sometimes if you're like building a brand new deck, you're just like, all right, I know I have these cards. Like I would be taking my Strixhaven Grinning Ignuses from like my bulk box. That's where they'd be coming from. I'd be like, okay, come here.
Chat's gonna hate me for it, but the Llanowar Elves that I use are 7th edition.
Oh, I don't think those ones are bad. I don't know. We all have different preferences in Magic, and like Llanowar Elves is one of the places where Wizards gives us a lot of places to express the type of Llanowar Elf that we like the most.
And there's even some like weirdo like white border versions, I think, from like 5th edition or something.
I have those ones.
Yeah.
But I actually use the game day promo Llanowar Elves from Dominaria that are the ones by Victor Adame Miguez.
Those are nice.
Those are so nice. I love them so much. And they're like full art too. Ooh, all right. No Thing in the Ice for you.
Yeah, Rending Volley coming in from the sideboard for Raymond does make sense because it hits Thing in the Ice and Ledger Shredder. We saw how much of a problem the Ledger Shredders were last game from Casey's side. Just being able to cycle through and find all of the answers that he needed. So it does make a little bit of sense for Raymond to bring in the Rending Volley, but doesn't have a good follow up. Just an attack for 2, so shows some pretty big weakness from Raymond's hand.
And just a Chart a Course, leave up 1 mana for Casey here.
One thing that I will mention, Raymond lost that last game, but there was a lot of different points where Raymond kind of like forced Casey to have the answer on several different turns. So even though Raymond lost that last game, he was very, very good at like reassembling the combo. So that's one thing that I was pretty impressed by.
Yeah, kind of just as impressive though was how Casey's deck was able to answer it, and I think that all just ends up going back to what you were originally saying the moment that we went down into this match, which was Casey's deck is going to be so good at answering everything that Raymond's deck is going to be bringing to the table, and that's just something that Raymond is going to have to work through and kind of prepare for as the match continues on.
Yeah, and with no plays last turn, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a copy of Tamiyo Safekeeping in Raymond's hand. It wouldn't make a lot of sense for there wouldn't be a lot of other cards that he wouldn't cast in that spot. So it definitely could have a copy of the Safekeeping. We're going to go to town with the Scavenging Ooze though, which could help or not help, but prevent Casey from being able to cast a Treasure Cruise. So that could be something. And if there's other creatures in the graveyard, which there is that Llanowar Elf, we could even get some damage in.
All right. We're learning a lot about the sideboarding that happened here for Raymond as well. And it seems like actually a lot was kind of brought in. And I don't know, there's something to be said. If you are playing like a combo deck and you do kind of sideboard into that, like quote unquote, as you said, fair game, making changes that like your opponent is constantly expecting you to go for this like crazy like one turn game winning play, and then all of a sudden you're just like, yeah, but maybe I just have the scavenging ooze that gets kind of big. Like you're all of a sudden on such a different axis that your opponent wasn't really prepared for coming into the match.
Right, and that might also be a product of Raymond realizes how good Casey is at breaking up the combo, that maybe Raymond is thinking to himself, well, I'm realistically not going to be able to combo most of the time, so I'm just going to try and fight this, mid-range fight and have answers to the stuff like, answers to things and shredders between the rending volleys, and then also attack the graveyard with stuff like scavenging ooze. So this might be more of, bringing in a couple of cards and more of just like a really, retooled his entire configuration in these post-board games.
And once again, this axe, gonna give the axe to Birgi.
God, Ledger Shredder is such a messed up card. It's so good.
Very true.
That's one that I think went under a lot of people's radars. Like, people kind of realized it was good, but I don't think anybody knew how good it was.
Oh, I think I was actually watching like a. I'm maybe gonna put you in a little bit of heat here. I was watching your Esper Greasefang tutorial, or like when New Capenna had first came out, and you actually had Ledger Shredder in the deck, and you were like, I think this card is good. Like, I don't really know how good this card is, but I think it's better than a lot of people are giving it credit for. And then I was like watching that like literally last month, and I was like, funny how this like aged.
Yeah. That one I think we got pretty right. That one I think I got pretty right.
But it was just so funny to see the like stark difference of like when New Capenna was first printed and people being like, I think Ledger Shredder's pretty okay. Or like a lot of people being like, maybe this card is like fine. I don't know. And now it's just like everyone's like, this card is broken. Well, not broken, but it's very good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like the glue that holds everything together. It does everything. It's it's a good blocker. It pressures. It dumps cards into your graveyard, which is good with with Cruise and Phoenix. It just does everything for this deck.
Yeah, and it's so weird because it's like I think a lot of its strength also, and like from a game design perspective, like ends up coming down to literally just its mana cost. Like if it was any other mana cost, like if it was 3, would this card be nearly as good? No, because like so much in all of these formats, are you expecting to like play this on turn 2? Your opponent takes their turn 3, and what are they trying to do? Most of the time, like most decks in a lot of these older formats are trying to cast 2 spells on turn 3. So you're immediately getting like gratification out of playing this card against most of your opponents who are maybe not totally interacting with you, but then are kind of forced to because you've played this card that is going to give you a little bit of a leg up as a result of you doing your normal game plan.
Right, and if you just kind of leave it, if you just let it sit and play for any number of turns, once the game gets to this point, it just finds you everything that you need. To see a Treasure Cruise here from Casey, 1 mana, draw 3. I heard that card is pretty good, and we'll see if see what Casey can find off of it. Maybe some removal spells. I don't think there's any creatures left, so Lightning Axe would take care of the scavenging ooze. It's a 5/5, but there's no creatures in the graveyard currently, so looks like we're charting.
We're cruising and charting. Just a lot of ship and boat references from this Izzet Pheonix deck.
Unfortunately, no actual boats in Casey's deck, though. No Sky Sovereigns.
No. Too expensive.
Yeah.
Too rich for Phoenix's blood.
Shredder can crew the boat, though. I mean, Phoenix does a pretty good job at crewing a boat, too.
That's true.
All right, chat did point out there's a Birgi in the graveyard. It's hard to tell those promo cards, but yeah, there is a Birgi in the graveyard here. Yeah, my bad. So, Scavenging Ooze would be able to become a 6/6. But, I mean, look at the Scavenging Ooze. Raymond played it on turn 3. Casey couldn't kill it, and it's just Casey, it's just dealt Casey like 11 damage and is just a thing that Casey can't kill. It's kind of wild.
Just a good little ooze.
Yeah.
Talk about a kind of like one of those cards that, like, when it got reprinted, I think a lot of people were like, "Oh yes, so exciting that we're getting a Scavenging Ooze reprint." Ooh, okay. So this is kind of interesting because the last time, that we saw an attack
Oh.
in a block, it didn't really end up doing much for.
I think what's happening here, I think Casey has the Lightning Axe,
Mhm.
so I think you block to get Raymond to use the Scavenging Ooze activation, and then, well, I guess if you axe, he can just respond and.
Ooh.
Okay, so we're gonna Gust the Ooze. That's pretty backbreaking. So that means pretty much all of Raymond's pressure is gone now.
Mhm.
I'm not even sure you can afford to top this. I don't know what you're looking for from Raymond's side. Doesn't really have any combo pieces.
Mhm. Yeah, it doesn't have like. Once again, doesn't have like a lot of lands or a lot of ways to look for them. At least like last game we had a Fauna Shaman.
Right.
In this game we're a little bit kind of hosed for that, and if we try to cast a lot of spells, like, what are we doing? We're just making this Ledger Shredder bigger. Like, at least our life total is padded enough that we're not worried about taking a ton of damage. And we are in the middle of a judge call, so give us a moment to figure this all out here.
Not sure what the judge calls about. So
I think we're trying to figure out if we exile the card that is being targeted by Scavenging Ooze, if the Scavenging Ooze is no longer in play from Aether Gust.
Yeah, we still would, because that ability would end up resolving.
Once again, judges are there for a reason. Even if you're not sure or you don't think it's the case, it is still worth asking.
Tameo safekeeping would have been a blowout there, though.
Oh,
Tameo safekeeping in response to the Gust, keep the Ooze, your Shredder dies. Oof. But yeah, no safekeeping from Ray. I can't quite get a good glimpse. I think there's another Birgi in hand and maybe an Elf. Tough to say.
I think you're right on one of those accounts, and I think the other one is the namesake of this deck, I believe. Because I believe we have the old version, Future Sight.
Oh, Ignus? Okay.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to name 4 different sets before Future Sight.
Future Sight had a lot of weird ones. All right, so we're doing some cantripping, shredding, considering, and we're passing. All right, Raymond's best draw is still most likely Collect a Company. Drew his card and passed. Okay, maybe it's Coco.
I would certainly hope so. Oh.
Nope, nothing.
Uh,
Yeah, playing Drago against the Phoenix deck in this spot is not exactly where you want to be.
that is certainly not the case, yeah.
I guess if you're the good news for Raymond's side is like there's no pressure. Like Casey can't really afford to attack because he's at 9.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you have a little bit of time. But
yeah, I feel like that's the silver lining, but it's really also just like the single straw that is saving this game from being broken open.
the pieces. That is a Brotherhood's End. Okay, we're gonna clean up the
Yikes.
Clean up the stinkers. Get in there
How
for
dare
4.
you say that about Llanowar Elf? I think a lot of people in Pioneer would be very hurt by that statement.
Yeah. At this point in the game, they're kind of stinkers.
That's fair.
Raymond's got enough mana.
But it's enough to unlock this poor little bird from its cage.
There's a Coco, and it resolved. No Spell Pierce, so let's see what we got. Okay, not bad. A Birgi and a Risen Reef, which is... Okay, get a Reef trigger. And I'm assuming there's going to be a removal spell on this Birgi. Oh, is it a Spikefield? Okay, we're gonna kill the Risen Reef.
Oh, there we go. Now we have a
Oh.
safekeeping. Unfortunately, we
Okay.
played Drago with our opponent maybe a few too many turns to have drawn this.
The safekeeping should have triggered the Shredder,
Uh-huh.
right? Because it was Coco and then safekeeping. I think they're only resolving one connive trigger. Yeah. I guess it was just missed. I'm assuming you can miss that.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, because it was the Coco and then the safekeeping.
Yeah.
Casey did remember the Shredder from his own spells because he cast the Spikefield and a Fiery Impulse, but he didn't get a trigger off of Raymond's spells. Okay. So Ignus will get a trigger off of the Risen Reef, potentially. Going to Abrade in response. Another safekeeping, perhaps?
So much removal that was stored in
Oh, yeah.
Casey's hand. I mean, we've like rapid fire shot 3 off on the last 3 things that Raymond has played, and it's just kind of backbreaking for a combo deck. Certainly backbreaking for a creature combo deck anyway.
All right, there's the safekeeping.
Oh,
Let's see if Casey... Okay, Casey does remember the Shredder trigger this time.
All right, we keep safe.
Safe has been kept.
Thanks,
And where do we
Tamio.
go? So we get a Reef trigger. We have a mana up to activate Grinning Ignus, which would give us another Reef trigger, which I imagine is probably what Raymond's going to be doing. Yep, so 1 mana, pick up the Ignus, replay the Ignus, get a Reef trigger.
Oh! Looks like we're Birging instead.
We're Birging, okay.
Yeah, and then just attacking with the Reef. Hiya! Get in there.
My feed was frozen there for a little bit, so I didn't quite get what's going on, but now we're back. Okay. Yeah. So played a Birgi. That's pretty good for Raymond because he just has the combo next turn.
Yeah.
And we have the Reef to get infinite Reef triggers, which will eventually find us the Defiler. So, and nothing here from Casey.
I mean, that also could just be that Casey is holding even more removal, and Raymond is actually going to respect it too. But Raymond has a Coco.
Not going for it. Okay, he's going to Coco.
Yeah, saying, all right, if you have removal and I can play around it, I might as well just be redundant. Or attempt to be, rather.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess if you expect Casey to have a removal spell, casting the Coco here is pretty good. I guess I could see that. And you kind of have to assume that there's removal.
Yeah, when your opponent has had it for the entire first half of this game, you're either saying there's no way you have more, or you're saying, all right, I guess I'm respecting.
2 Ignuses here, which is... Yeah, extra Ignuses aren't really that important, but they do get Risen Reef triggers here, so, fine for Raymond in that regard.
I mean, hey, at this point, what's their power toughness? Our opponent's at 8.
They do provide the beatdowns, although there is a 4/6 flyer on the other side.
Ledger Shredder, too good. Who decided it was a 1/3? I just want to talk. I just want to talk.
The fact that in games like this, in spots like this, where it's just like, yeah, I have a 4/6 flyer. It just brick walls your entire squad. All right, what do we got from Raymond here? We know about 1 Ignus. Yeah, I can't quite get a good look of what else Raymond's working with here. We're gonna activate Ignus. Make 3. I would assume recasting the Ignus. I think we're just gonna go looping and try to get some Risen Reef triggers. Find the missing combo piece.
Yeah.
We're picking up the other Ignus.
Oh.
Okay.
All right,
I'm
are we ready
interested.
to rumble?
To the reef?
Oh,
Okay.
all right. Yeah, I think you were correct. Just we're trying to double duty this sort of style here.
Right, and wanted to pick up the other Ignis to generate mana prior to playing the reef, which makes sense. Yeah, okay, I'm with you.
And
To
I mean,
land off
okay.
of the reef.
So this is like such a weird place to be too, because like Raymond gets to sit here and kind of just like spin for a little bit, yeah. And then like Raymond also just like doesn't really have to worry about like deploying much more than like save for not discarding to hand size at the end of this turn, because Raymond is a 22 life, and like depending on how many cards are in Casey's hand, like we would have to do some crazy things to all of a sudden deal 22 to Raymond in one turn. Granted, we are playing the time walk, so like there's a possibility that like we could cobble together like 11 and 11, but I mean,
I'm not.
Raymond is also saying like you have to respect what I can do on my next turn, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking if there's like a Galvanic Iteration involved, like Galvanic Iteration plus Temporal
Oh.
Trespass, that could make getting to 22 a little bit easier.
That's true.
You know, if you combine like the Shredder and 2 Phoenixes, that's well, I mean that's already 11, so that would be 22 already. But yeah, if I'm in Raymond's spot, I feel pretty compelled to try and combo off this turn, which it looks like that's what he's trying to do.
Mm-hmm. And just trying to do it in a way that makes it like if I just have so many things, you are not going to be able to do anything. And say goodbye, little Phoenix.
Ooh, Cemetery Prowler is really sick here because it not only does it eat the Phoenix when it comes into play, but it also makes makes all your creatures cost 1 less. So it's kind of like double duty there.
Good little werewolf. Actually, that one's just a wolf, I think. It's just a wolf. Okay, thanks.
Just a wolf. Yeah, this is infinite if Casey doesn't have anything. Although, now that I'm wondering, is it actually infinite? Well, we have an interaction. What's this? 4 mana. 6 mana. Heart Gaslighting Axe?
Oh, yep.
All right.
You gotta do what you gotta do. And also, again, played land go for so many turns that it doesn't really hurt to do that, aside from, I guess, shields down now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. There's a red floating. So you can go activate the Ignis, make 2 colorless red. Oh, right. Then if you replay the Ignis, you don't have any more red mana. Okay. So we're going to pick that up, which makes 2 colorless. Yeah, and then cast that 2 more reef triggers with 2 colorless floating. Okay. And Raymond just going to have 9 million cards in hand.
Yeah, where's our Reliquary Tower? Did we almost just... I was going to say, did we almost just hack into Ledger Shredder there?
There's a 5/7 over there, Raymond.
Yeah, calm down.
What are we doing? All right, we're discarding. Discarding the hand size.
Feisty little Risen Reef.
This has been such a weird game.
It has been. And, like, yeah, you have to imagine that, like, everything is in hand for Raymond, but it's just, like, really respecting the last few cards in Casey's deck, or hand.
There's a Phoenix. Phoenix pass.
Duty.
All right, I'd be pretty shocked if Raymond could not find lethal this turn. Okay, we're starting off with an Innkeeper. That makes a thing. What do we got? I got an Ignis. I think maybe another Prowler. Hard to tell. So we're going to pick up the Ignis, make some mana. Ignis is discounted by the Cemetery Prowler as well, so don't forget that. So that makes 3. Ignis only costs 2, which gives us 2 reef triggers. Maybe he still doesn't have the pieces he needs. You just gotta keep digging. I mean, honestly, Raven could probably go through his whole deck at this point.
Oh, I mean, that might be what we need to do to just like call this over and Looks like Raymond is kind of on the same game plan here as well, considering what's in hand here.
So, is that the Ignus again? Yeah, we're going to cast the Ignus again. Okay. We get a Shredder trigger, assuming that Casey... Did we already resolve the Shredder trigger? I don't think we did.
Not this turn.
Okay. So that might have been missed.
Sometimes you get so involved in your opponent taking their turn.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Casey could also just be like, maybe also
Check
that
out.
last card in hand is just like, I'm just waiting for the moment to use this one last card.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if the last card in hand is a removal spell for Casey, saving it for Birgi does make sense. Because I don't think Raymond can go infinite without Birgi.
And how many?
And he already knows that there's more Ignuses. So
yeah. And I think that we've already played 2 Birgis this game.
At least.
Moved.
Yeah, at least.
Lots of colorless mana. We're going through. All right, once again, I'm going to kind of call out. We got the Future Sight Ignuses. We got all of our lands full art swaggy.
Yeah.
But the Dominaria Llanowar Elves are still.
Oh yeah.
they're still hurting me a little bit.
Those Dominaria Llanowar Elves.
There's just that's like also a card that's like easy to like pick up a like swaggier version of. So it's just like okay.
No, I'm with you.
Maybe we just really like that version. Oh,
just something.
Monument. A monumental.
Okay. Monument is kind of more of what Raymond already has, because Raymond can already kind of go through his entire deck with the Arisen Reef. So the Monument it discounts your red creatures by 1, but it also, effectively rummages whenever you cast a creature. But Raymond can already kind of go through most of his deck with the Risen Reef, so that doesn't really help him in terms of setting up Infinite.
Yeah, and at this point, I feel like we're also like doing fine on like mana that isn't red mana. Like we're just wishing we had more access to red sources time and time again.
Yeah, these Botanical Sanctums aren't really doing us any good.
Yeah, they're feeling a little bit awkward right about now. But let's continue. And I believe that I am hearing that time has been called.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that. There can't be that much time left.
Nope. Time was just called. Our players in the future match do have a little bit of a time extension, so we will be watching a little bit further into this match. But this is a place where if there is going to be a game 3, Raymond is going to have to go off a lot faster than we have been seeing in these games.
Yeah, I don't really... I mean, if time has been called, I don't think that this is just going to be the last game, right? Yeah, they won't play a third game. So it's either Casey wins 1-0 or match is a draw. There's Defiler.
Okay.
Still... Oh, no, this is infinite. Yeah, okay, this is infinite because of the Innkeeper. Yes. So that allows us to pay 2 life instead of the red mana. And with the Innkeeper, we get 1 life back, but we're at a high enough life total, similar to like how the Yawgmoth stuff works, where if you need a higher life total than your opponent would like to Yawgmoth them a bunch of times. It's similar to that, whereas it's like you pay for each 1 life you have, you can deal 1 damage to them because you pay 2 life and then get 1 back when the Innkeeper trigger. So this should be infinite, I think, assuming there's red mana floating, I guess.
Oh, there might not be,
because we got to activate the Ignus once.
I don't know that there is any red mana floating currently.
I guess... I wonder if you can cast a Birgi, pay 2 life, Maybe not though. So I'm wondering if you go like Birgi, pay 2 life with the Defiler, 2
Mhm.
colorless and 2 life, and then play another spell to get a red mana which activates the Ignis. I don't know that he can get a red mana right now.
Yeah, this is a little rough, especially to be this close and not be able to close the door here.
Yeah, imagine drawing like 20 cards. You have 15 lands in play and 20 cards in hand, and you're just like, all right, your turn.
Also, I have to discard the hand size. Give me a
Yeah,
sec.
that'd be tough. That'd be tough.
I know that my turn just took me 15 minutes, but let me discard hand size too.
Okay, chat brings up a good point. He could draw an Innkeeper. So if he finds an Innkeeper, that can make a treasure, which gives us red mana to activate the Ignis.
That's true.
I don't think there's an Innkeeper in hand, though.
Yeah, and I think if we had a way to try to draw to said Innkeeper, we would be doing it.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I guess we have a Llanowar Elf, but that
go to
doesn't
discard.
really- Yeah, we're going to
God,
discard.
that is so rough. Oh man.
Is this deck playing 3 or 4 Birgies? It has to be playing 4, right?
Let's go to Raymond's deck list. Raymond is playing 4 Birgies, yeah.
Okay. I would think that would like kind of have to be the case, and unfortunately they're just stuck at the bottom portion of Raymond's deck, it seems like.
Yeah, no, Raymond isn't dead, right? Raymond's at 24. There's there's 8 power. So unless there's something like, cruise into like iteration plus trespass, there's Casey's probably not going to be able to come up with a lethal attack. So Raymond can certainly, assuming that all of the creatures survive, then she's going to be able to kill Casey next turn. So
yeah, the unfortunate part, like not dead in this match, but like if you have a draw at this point up 4-2-1, like things are going to certainly be rough for you in the last match up or the last round of this tournament.
Yeah, Raymond is, I believe, effectively. I mean, he was probably already dead for top 8 at X2, but certainly dead for top 8 with X2-1.
Yeah. Yeah, we have 8 rounds, but we were kind of low enough on players that we're getting some interesting numbers here. And it looks like despite that game, we are going to be calling it there for both of these players. And I should be able to soon get confirmation on whether we are going to a game number 3 and going to watch like some very fast Magic, or if we are just calling it good there. But we did get to see some kind of intense wheel spinning from that Grinning Ignus deck and some very interesting plays as a result of just kind of being dismantled by a very heavy removal deck.
Yeah, that was a tough one for Raymond. There's just too much removal in the Phoenix deck. Raymond did fight through a lot of it in game 2 and was eventually able to kind of, like you said, just do a lot of wheel spinning, a lot of churning, and try to eventually set up the combo. But yeah, it took a little bit too long, and unfortunately, we don't have a game 3 to bring you. Now, I'm curious. I wonder what would have happened in the match if the match did end in a draw, or if Casey did, if whatever happened. But yeah, if Casey drew, still has to win it in next round. But yeah, just wanted to say, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to follow the stream if you are having a great time, and we'll be back in just a little bit with the last round before we get the top 8.